Welcome to Read Fantasy. I'm TC Ellison, and this is my list for the top 5 best epic fantasy novels. Number 1, the Lightbringer Series, Brett Weeks. The Lightbringer Series is a fantastic epic fantasy novel. The Lightbringer Series has a unique magic system. It has the unique magic system where you could draft light. Each person that has this magic has an ability to draft a certain color of light, and different colors do different things. I'm not going to really get into it. It's a fantastic epic fantasy novel. Everyone should give it a read. Number 2, the Powder Mage Trilogy. The Powder Mage Trilogy is fantastic. It is, how should I put this? If you have like a cocaine level addiction to your magic system, that is what Powder Mage Trilogy is. The Powder Mages can use black powder from muskets and kegs and explode them. They can sense when the powder is near. They can ingest the powder, snort the powder like cocaine, and it doesn't just get them high, it makes them powerful. It is a really fun written book, and right here, just plain awesome, Brandon Sanderson. That's good enough for me. So Promise of Blood, Book 1, Powder Mage Trilogy. He did just start a brand new series that came out just a few months ago. It is really interesting. It's a good book. Okay, number 3, Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin. Do I need to really talk about this book? If you don't know what Game of Thrones is by this point, you've been living under a rock. This is not the TV show. Well, let me say that again. Book 1 is the TV show, word for word. It is a fantastic novel, well written, highly detailed, which is one of the things that George R. R. Martin was so good at, is his detail. He builds these worlds, and you could visualize the worlds. Probably is why the show was so amazing for a hot minute. Number 4, Shadow of the Gods, John Gwynne. This is a fantastic book. This is old school epic fantasy. There are those tropes in writing that you're supposed to avoid unless you do them well. If you do those tropes well, you come up with Shadow of the Gods. One of the best characters in fantasy, Orca. In this book, she's fantastic. This book pulled me in so quick, as did Book 2. Book 2 has such a horrific ending. And no, it's not done. It's an undone series. So that leads us to number 5, my personal favorite. And how could I put a top 5 epic fantasy novels without talking about Brandon Sanderson? Way of Kings. One of my all-time favorites, best fantasy writers ever. Brandon Sanderson. I've met him so many times, and he's fantastic. He pumps out so many books, and they're all great. This created, in my opinion, 2 of the best characters in fantasy, Dalinar and Kaladin. This book is fantastic. An epic fantasy in every sense of the word. So, if you like epic fantasy, Way of Kings. It's fantastic. Not done. Brandon is working on book 5 to end this generation. So, Era 1 is Way of Kings. His next book, Stormlight 5, is going to end this generation. He will do like he did with Mistborn and have a second era generation coming out. But book 5 will be out I think Brandon says we have a couple years. He's working on it right now. He's only at 11%. And 11% of a book like this is like, meh, about like that. So, yeah. But don't wait. Don't wait 2 years. Read it now. It's fantastic. I've read this book so many times. And if you haven't read Brandon Sanderson and you don't want to start with a book like this, there are countless options. You could read his novellas. You could read ones that won awards, like Emperor's Soul. Or you start with Mistborn. Fantastic. Start with Mistborn. Hell, you could start with Steelheart or Skyward. But read Way of Kings. That's my list. Read fantasy.